Sword of Coming Episode 16. In the previous episode, Chen Ping'an worked tirelessly by the creek, catching fish and collecting pebbles, all while tending to a painful wound on his left hand. A mysterious young girl silently assisted him, showing unexpected kindness. As he struggled against the cold and his injury, Chen Ping'an's determination to live well and fight for a better future only grew stronger. Meanwhile, the girl's father revealed that Chen Ping'an was unusually ordinary, yet strangely fated, almost like bait in a larger scheme. Despite this, he quietly persevered, caring for the fish and pebbles that might one day change his life. At the end of the previous episode, Chen Ping'an returned to Liu Xianyang's home at dawn, ready to continue his hard work, while a scholar watched silently on the covered bridge, hinting at deeper mysteries ahead. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. Before Chen Ping'an arrived at the Iron Lock well with his 2 buckets, he passed a few stalls on Apricot Blossom Alley that were selling breakfast, causing his stomach to rumble without warning. The smell of freshly steamed buns and fried dough sticks lingered in the morning air, teasing him mercilessly, but he was short on money, as always, so he forced himself to keep walking, ignoring the delicious aroma and focusing instead on the task at hand, drawing water. When he reached the well, he found that 3 families were already ahead of him, waiting their turn. Just as he prepared to step forward, Zhi Gui, a familiar young maidservant from Clay Vase Alley, unexpectedly cut in line with a small bucket. The people behind Chen Ping'an immediately began to grumble. Their voices were not loud, but their discontent was clear, sharp with irritation. Among them was Granny Ma, a hunched old woman whose reputation in the neighborhood was formidable. Granny Ma's 2 sons were successful, each owning a small dragon kiln, and though these kilns were among the smallest in the alley, the family was still considered wealthy. Yet Granny Ma herself remained fiercely protective, petty, and stingy, living alone in her ancestral home after her daughters-in-law had moved away. In Chen Ping'an's eyes, Granny Ma was terrifying. She was known for her vicious scolding and merciless attitude, especially toward children. Any minor transgression, such as taking icicles from her roof or using the snow in front of her house for a snowball fight, would be enough to provoke her wrath, sending her chasing after offenders with a broom in hand. In the past, only Ji Yuquan's mother could temper her fury, but after the widow left town, Granny Ma had returned to her old, cantankerous self, finding annoyance in everyone around her. Upon seeing Zhi Gui cut the line, Granny Ma's expression twisted with thinly veiled anger. She began speaking to the woman beside her, her tone deceptively pleasant as she commented on young girls finally gaining recognition as Mrs. rather than remaining lowly maids. Chen Ping'an felt a sense of numbness at her words but could not intervene. Zhi Gui had been a neighbor for many years, and despite being in the wrong, he did not want to confront her. He drew 2 buckets of water for Liu Xianyang and quickly fetched another for Zhi Gui. Eager to escape the gossiping group, Granny Ma, however, was further infuriated by the maidservant's disregard for her scolding. Her fury grew because Zhi Gui did not respond, did not react, and seemed entirely unaffected by the old woman's verbal assaults. Granny Ma's pride had been challenged, and the lack of acknowledgement stung worse than any counterattack could have. Chen Ping'an observed as Granny Ma's tirade continued. She berated him, the young boy she saw as weak and shameless, claiming that he deserved nothing and would never find a wife. Her words were meant to humiliate both the boy and Zhi Gui, linking them as 2 lowly individuals unworthy of anything better. Yet Zhi Gui's expression remained calm, even carrying a subtle hint of defiance that unnerved Granny Ma further. Suddenly, Zhi Gui stepped forward. Without a word, she slapped Granny Ma, causing the old woman to spin around in shock. The women supporting Granny Ma tried to steady her, but Zhi Gui struck again, shouting, "Undying old hag, I've already put up with your crap for far too long." Granny Ma, caught off guard, tried to retaliate but could not break free from the supportive grip of her companions. Zhi Gui then delivered a forceful rap to Granny Ma's forehead with her knuckles, warning that if she ever cursed again, she would face consequences. Shaken and humiliated, Granny Ma retreated, muttering about the heavens and hoping for divine retribution. Meanwhile, Zhi Gui smiled faintly and departed, leaving Chen Ping'an momentarily speechless. She returned to Clay Vase Alley, acknowledging Chen Ping'an's assistance with a small nod but insisting she had not intervened for his sake. As they walked past the breakfast stalls, Chen Ping'an caught sight of a familiar figure, a petite woman in green, buying a steaming meat bun. The sky, once clear, had become overcast as dark clouds slowly spread, masking the sun. Thunder rumbled in the distance, signaling the coming of spring's first storm. Near the iron lock well, Granny Ma hurried home, spilling half of her water bucket in her panic, as if sensing that the heavens had taken notice of her behavior. Zhi Gui turned to Chen Ping'an, explaining the old folk tale her young master had shared. In early spring, a god in golden armor beats a drum in the clouds to farewell the old and welcome the new, simultaneously scaring off evil to make way for spring. Chen Ping'an nodded, understanding the symbolism. Zhi Gui, however, expressed a mild concern about her young master's habits, noting that he was well versed but lazy, and often cursed the heavens. Their conversation shifted to mundane matters. Chen Ping'an confirmed he had not returned home the night before due to hosting a guest, and they exchanged small talk about another visitor, a scholar from the town, who had inquired about him. Their interaction was casual, tinged with subtle hints of mutual understanding. At a crossroad, they parted ways, Zhi Gui heading back to Clay Vase Alley with her bucket of water, while Chen Ping'an returned to Liu Xianyang's house, preparing for his letter delivery route, a modest job earning a coin per letter. He mused that had he started earlier, his ability to traverse the mountainous terrain might have already provided enough to secure a wife. At Clay Vase Alley, Zhi Gui met her young master, Song Jixin, who had emerged out of boredom. She inquired about the return of a new kiln supervision official and the possibility of traveling to the capital, to which Song Jixin responded thoughtfully that it would be about 10 days. Zhi Gui, holding her small bucket, then timidly requested to borrow the local county chronicle to improve her literacy and avoid embarrassment at the capital. Song Jixin agreed with gentle instructions to be careful with the book. Delighting Zhi Gui with his generosity, he offered to carry her bucket, but Zhi Gui, teasing, insisted that a noble gentleman should not concern himself with kitchen chores. Song Jixin laughed and elaborated on his philosophy, claiming he was essentially a farmer who sowed and waited for the harvest, year after year, living a simple life. When he asked whether Chen Ping'an had carried her bucket the entire time, Zhi Gui confirmed innocently, prompting Song Jixin to deliver a lesson about appreciating the efforts of friends and family rather than taking them for granted. Zhi Gui, quick to understand, playfully revealed that she knew he was referring to himself, earning his hearty laughter. Meanwhile, a middle-aged scholar sat in the private school's library as spring thunder rumbled outside, the black and white go pieces before him disintegrating into dust. Chen Ping'an reflected on a common childhood method for catching rock-slate fish, striking rocks with hammers to knock the fish unconscious, a practice that mirrored the saying about beating around the mountain to scare the tiger. However, if one wanted to warn a sage not to defy the heavens and go against the great Tao, the corresponding weapon one needed to wield would most likely have to be the vast and mighty thunder in the sky. Chen Ping'an returned to Liu Xianyang's house and poured the 2 buckets of water into the vat in the courtyard kitchen. The water splashed into the vessel with a gentle clatter, sending little ripples across the surface. He then ran to the door and shouted, "Liu Xianyang, I'm going to use your firewood and seasoning to make some fish soup for Ning Yao. Is that okay?" Liu Xianyang, who had been dozing peacefully, was jolted awake by Chen Ping'an's sudden voice. "Just how bloody annoying are you? I was dreaming of Zhi Gui smiling at me. Hurry up and compensate me with Zhi Gui," he roared, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Chen Ping'an shook his head, trying not to laugh, but also remembered Liu Xianyang's request. "I did come across Zhi Gui at the Iron Lock well earlier, but Granny Ma distracted us, and I forgot to greet her for you. When I deliver the fish soup to Ning Yao, I promise I'll pass on your greeting." Liu Xianyang leapt up, quickly changing his clothes, and hurried to the doorstep, peering at Chen Ping'an with excitement. I'll go deliver the fish soup with you in a moment. Oh, by the way, is Zhi Gui wearing the pomegranate red dress today or the light green one? When I earn 200 copper coins, I'll finally be able to buy that exquisite 100-pressed dragon silver makeup case she's had her eyes on for so long. Poor little Zhi Gui, always reluctant to buy it herself. All Song Jixin's fault. That stingy little bastard. If I were her young master, I'd buy her everything she wanted. She'd live in comfort greater than any young lady on Fortune Street. Chen Ping'an ignored the boy's fantasies. He couldn't understand why Liu Xianyang was so infatuated with Zhi Gui. It wasn't because she was a maidservant or unattractive, it was because, in Chen Ping'an's eyes, there was no predestined fate between the two. Why do you call her Zhi Gui now? Why not Wang Zhu? Chen Ping'an asked, curiosity threading his voice. Liu Xianyang grinned mischievously. After realizing even you couldn't write the words Zhi Gui, I decided I didn't care anymore. Chen Ping'an frowned. Why compare yourself to me? Why not Song Jixin? After all, Zhi Gui is his maidservant, not yours. Liu Xianyang sneered, leaning closer. He's not better than you in everything. Can he call anyone mother or father? Isn't he inferior in that sense? No wonder Gu Can's mother, Granny Ma, and others are so poisonous toward him. He can't even sit confidently in the office of the kiln supervision official. He suffers in Clay Vase Alley but still looks down on others. He deserves all the slander. Chen Ping'an opened his mouth, but Liu Xianyang raised his hands, stopping him. I'll stop slandering him, okay? But who taught you that stubbornness and inflexibility? My grandpa said both your parents were gentle and amiable. Especially your mother, always smiling, always kind. Granny Ma used to curse almost everyone. Yet she always spared your mother. She would even smile at her. Chen Ping'an smiled, amused, as Liu Xianyang waved him off. Hurry up and bring the soup to your wife, he said, rolling his eyes. Chen Ping'an muttered, if you're so capable, why don't you say that to her face? Liu Xianyang chuckled, you might be stupid, but I'm certainly not. A short while later, Chen Ping'an carried a small pot of fish soup. Locking the door behind him, he and Liu Xianyang walked through the narrow alleys of Clay Vase Alley until they reached Chen Ping'an's house. Liu Xianyang stared, dumbfounded, as Chen Ping'an knocked on the gate, realizing that he had left his keys with Ning Yao. Some things, it seemed, couldn't be helped. The young woman in black opened the gate without her veil, revealing her serene and composed face. Liu Xianyang, for reasons he couldn't explain, felt a flicker of fear. It wasn't her aloofness, he was used to the haughtiness of other maidservants. It wasn't her weapons or strength, he had faced far stronger adversaries and never flinched. Yet something about Ning Yao unsettled him. Ning Yao removed the clay pot lid, inhaling the fragrance of the fish soup. Her slender eyes narrowed slightly, a subtle sign of contentment. Chen Ping'an, ever observant, recognized this as a rare smile from her, a hint of happiness beneath her usual reserve. He cooked a pot of porridge for her and told her to keep an eye on the flames herself. I need to deliver some letters, he said, turning to Liu Xianyang. Liu Xianyang grumbled but did not protest, ears straining for any noise next door, ready to spring into action. Go on, do what you need to do, he said impatiently. Chen Ping'an exited Clay Vase Alley and noticed the path ahead darkening. A tall man in white robes stood blocking the alley, one hand behind his back, the other resting on his white jade belt. His eyes stared into the distance, calm and unreadable, likely realizing he was obstructing the narrow path. He smiled faintly and stepped aside, allowing Chen Ping'an to pass. As Chen Ping'an glanced back, he caught the glint of golden embroidery on the man's robe. The patterns depicted a mysterious creature soaring through mountains and clouds, intricate and almost celestial. Shaking off his curiosity, Chen Ping'an treated him as just another passerby seeking opportunity in Clay Vase Alley. After the visit to the old locust tree with Mr. Qi, he felt more at ease, knowing some sense of justice could still be sought if anything untoward happened in the town. Passing Apricot Blossom Alley, he noticed the young girl in green from last night, sitting at a wonton stall. Her chopsticks tapped the table lightly as she watched the steaming pot of cooking wontons. completely absorbed in her meal. Even though Chen Ping'an was just a few steps away, she didn't notice him. Her focus, and the joy she took in food, reminded him how small, simple pleasures could bring contentment. He smiled silently and continued toward the eastern gate. At the wooden gates in the east, the disheveled gatekeeper balanced on a tree stump, eyes fixed to the east, as though awaiting someone important. Chen Ping'an squatted next to him. The man cursed under his breath, retrieved a bundle of 6 letters from his mud hut, and handed Chen Ping'an 5 copper coins. 2 letters were for neighbors on Fortune Street, but Chen Ping'an accepted the payment without complaint, unwilling to take advantage of them. Casually, he asked, "Waiting for someone?" The gatekeeper glanced at the road. "Waiting for your grandpa," he said, shrugging. Chen Ping'an quickly stepped aside, not wanting to be the target of misplaced frustration. The gatekeeper chuckled, noting Chen Ping'an's observant nature, and sat back on the stump, muttering, "When immortals fight, it's the commoners and mortals who suffer the most." Of the 6 letters, 4 were addressed to the Liu, Li, Zhao, and Song clans of Fortune Street, the remaining 2 to Peach Leaf Alley. Coincidentally, one of the Peach Leaf Alley letters was for the kindly old man Chen Ping'an had met earlier. The man opened his door, recognized Chen Ping'an, and joked, "Young child, aren't you coming in for a drink?" Chen Ping'an politely declined, bowing, and accepted 10 copper coins the old man offered as a token of good fortune. The old man encouraged him to exercise during spring and to collect any fallen branches or leaves from the locust tree to keep away insects. Offering wisdom with a gentle smile, Chen Ping'an bowed, grateful, and left the bluestone slabs of Peach Leaf Alley behind. The old man lingered at his door, gazing at the rows of peach trees. A young maidservant named Liu Yao approached, cautioning him about the cold. She teased lightly, asking if he was reminiscing about meeting a girl under the peach trees in his youth. The old man smiled, praising both Liu Yao and Chen Ping'an as kind and determined. While Liu Yao beamed at his words, he mentioned a distant relative's upcoming visit, reminding the children they could leave with the family afterward. Liu Yao's eyes filled with tears. "Grandpa, I don't want to leave," she said softly. The old man gently urged her back inside, murmuring encouragement about avoiding the danger that now lingered in the town. He extended a frail hand to touch a branch, blessing the children, whispering for the heavens not to target or suppress them. Just then, Zhao Yao's grandmother appeared, swinging her cane, questioning his hope and scolding him for naivety. The old man laughed as he dodged her blows, his heart still calm beneath the peach trees. The old woman left in frustration, clicking her cane against the bluestone slabs as she returned to Fortune Street. The creek gradually became shallower, and the well gradually became colder. The old locust tree grew even older, and the iron lock grew even rustier. The large clouds bore down on the small town. This year, the peach tree produced leaves, but it produced no blossoms. In this episode, we saw Chen Ping'an preparing and delivering fish soup for Ning Yao, navigating the bustling alleys of the small town, and interacting with Liu Xianyang, whose infatuation with Zhi Gui provided both humor and insight into the lives of those around him. We also witnessed Chen Ping'an's encounters with the townspeople, from the observant old man by the peach leaf alley to the mysterious figures in white robes, all of which hinted at deeper forces shaping the town's fate. Amid the seemingly peaceful streets and familiar routines, the narrative revealed the fragility of life here and the looming challenges that Chen Ping'an and the children may face. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Sword of Coming. If you enjoyed this episode or found it interesting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications for the latest episodes following Chen Ping'an's journey. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.